Welcome back to Beyond Wisdom, where we explore timeless truths for a more peaceful and meaningful life. For most of us today, happiness feels like a goal we're supposed to chase. It's everywhere, in advertisements, books, podcasts. The idea that we should be constantly seeking more joy, more pleasure, more fulfillment. But the ancient Stoics saw things very differently. They believed that chasing happiness actually led to more suffering. Instead, they aimed for something far deeper, peace. And in doing so, they discovered a kind of quiet strength we often miss in our noisy world. To the Stoics, the pursuit of happiness wasn't just misguided, it was dangerous. They believed that basing your life around feeling good meant you were handing your peace over to things outside your control. Seneca, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, wrote that a man is unhappy, though he reigns the world over, if he does not consider himself happy. That's the key. Happiness that depends on external events, other people, or fortune is never stable. Stoics, like Epictetus, believe the only thing truly within our control is our character, our choices, our actions, our ability to live with virtue. And virtue to them meant courage, justice, self-control, and wisdom. Not a momentary high, not comfort, not applause, just quietly doing what's right. And from that, they believed, came a kind of lasting peace that happiness could never offer. The Stoics noticed something we often overlook today. Happiness is an emotion, and like all emotions, it comes and goes. Even on our best days, happiness can slip away in an instant, with a bad phone call, a harsh word, or a sudden change in fortune. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, saw this clearly. Despite having power most could only imagine, he wrote constantly in his journal about keeping his mind steady, indifferent to pleasure and pain, as he put it, and rooted in reason and duty. He knew that pleasure is sweet, but temporary, and pain is bitter, but it passes. What mattered was not clinging to one or running from the other, but remaining centered. That's the kind of peace the Stoics sought. The kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. If happiness is tied to results, Stoic peace is tied to effort. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that peace begins when we stop trying to control what we were never meant to control. You can't control whether others praise you. You can't control if you get the job, if the weather turns, if someone hurts you. But you can control your response, your integrity, your ability to do the next right thing, regardless of how things turn out. And when you truly accept that, peace enters. Imagine a sailor who tries to control the wind. He'll always be frustrated. But the sailor who learns to adjust his sails to whatever the wind brings, he moves forward with grace. That's the Stoic way. One of the most surprising things the Stoics believed was that chasing happiness often causes suffering. Why? Because it leads us to avoid discomfort, deny difficult truths, and cling to outcomes. But life is hard. It's unpredictable, and pretending otherwise only makes things worse. Instead, the Stoics leaned into discomfort, not to suffer, but to grow. They practiced what they called premeditatio malorum, imagining hardship before it happened, so they wouldn't be shocked or destroyed when life got hard. Seneca wrote, "He robs present ills of their power, who has perceived their coming beforehand." In other words, peace comes not from avoiding pain, but from being ready for it and choosing your response with calm dignity. Chasing happiness often pulls us out of the present. We think, I'll be happy when I finish this project, when I find love, when things get easier. But the Stoics trained their minds to stay rooted in now. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This wasn't meant to scare. It was meant to wake us up, to help us see that the only place we can live, act, and find peace is here, now, in this breath, in this choice. The past is gone. The future is uncertain. But in this moment, we can choose peace. Stoicism isn't about withdrawing from the world. In fact, the Stoics believed deeply in community, justice, and service. Peace wasn't just for oneself. It was meant to ripple outward. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire during war and plague, constantly reminded himself to be patient with others, to act with justice, and to do his duty without complaint, even when he was tired, even when people were cruel. His peace wasn't selfish. It was strong enough to hold others. That's the kind of peace that lasts. It's not soft or passive. It's the kind of peace that stands up for what's right, but doesn't lose itself in anger or chaos. In a world obsessed with individual happiness, this is a quiet, radical idea. One of the hardest teachings in Stoicism is this: you can't control how things end, only how you show up. You can love someone and still lose them. You can work hard and still fail. But the Stoics taught that what matters most isn't the outcome. It's your principles, your integrity, your ability to look in the mirror and know you stayed true to what you believe is right. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, lost everything in a shipwreck. But that loss became the beginning of his philosophical path. He later joked, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered shipwreck." That's the paradox. Sometimes peace begins when we stop clinging to how life should be and start living how we ought to, no matter what comes. The Stoics didn't reject happiness. They simply saw it for what it is, a byproduct, not a goal, something that may come or not. But peace, true, deep, unshakable peace, that was worth building a life around. They found it not by chasing feelings, but by practicing virtue. Not by avoiding pain, but by meeting it with courage. Not by controlling the world, but by mastering the self. In a time where so much is uncertain, and where we're told to chase more, the Stoics offer us a different path. A quieter one, but perhaps a wiser one. What do you think brings more lasting peace? Chasing happiness or living by your principles? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. If this video brought you value, subscribe to Beyond Wisdom. Until next time, stay calm, stay strong, and stay wise.